Welcome to this beautiful sunny Sunday. And today I am following through on something that I have wanted to do for a really long time. So several years ago, I had this idea that I was going to do tea time on Sundays and just share thoughts on books and the world and different things like that. And then we got caught up moving to the mountains, and our mountain home was just a mess for the most part, and life got in the way, and I didn't do it. And then I was at my home in the mountains and talking to a good friend. This is how long it's been a while. My friend Elizabeth Ann West, and Elizabeth's like, just do it. Just go online, do your lives, that sort of thing. And I didn't do it because I had all these excuses. And then I moved here to my new place, and it's this tiny apartment. I don't have a great place to have a live setup and everything. For those of you who don't know, I also have a podcast with my co-host and good friend Steph Jonas called Brand New Bookshelf, where we talk about AI for authors. And there I sit at my desk, and it's just like this clunky, crowded space. And I always thought for something like this, I wanted to do it more personal, more intimate, and I just don't have space. And then today, I went to a tea ceremony, and it was so lovely. And um, it's called Gong Fu Tea Ceremony. And part of it is you take the tea and you meditate with the tea and you allow it to give you the messages. And immediately, as I just took that first inhale of this tea, the message came to me, you need to do your Sunday tea time. And I thought that was really interesting that it came to me at the tea ceremony. And I got some really beautiful messages during the tea ceremony, which I will share with you. But the whole point of this whole ramble is that I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for this perfect time to happen, for all the things to be in alignment, for my place to be perfectly organized and have the perfect setup. And it just hasn't happened. And even today, trying to find a setup, my laptop just wouldn't connect right. And so now I'm on my phone, and I could have easily made the excuse to not do this. And honestly, I kind of wanted to. I was like, see, it's not meant to be. And I have spent so much time listening to those excuses that I'm finally just going to do it and be imperfect. And so they're going to be clunky for a while, and that's okay. I'm going through some training through this thing called RIM, which is regenerating images in memory, so that I can facilitate that. And really excited about that. But it's a lot of learning. It's a big learning process, and that's one of the things I talk about is, you know, the mess is where the magic is, and clunky is sexy, and really just giving yourself permission to be clunky, to be messy, and for things to not be perfect. And so that's what I decided when I was going to do this video today, and part of the meditation that I did, that it really came to me very clearly that this is what I need to do. And I need to give myself permission to just do it and be messy and not have everything set up perfectly, which is hilarious because those of you who've been to my full moon ceremonies, um, it is clunky and messy in terms of I don't have the perfect setup. And every month I keep trying to figure out ways to perfect it and make it better because I have all these cool things that I want to show and share. And I just haven't found a way to make that work in my space. And that hasn't stopped me. So I don't know why I had such a block on this tea thing. I think because it's so important to me that I didn't want to mess it up. And that is where you have to start, is when you're like, oh, this is so important to me. I don't want to mess up. that's almost that push of, yes, this is where you start and this is how you start. So today you are seeing me my first Sunday tea time, and it's going to be messy and it's going to be clunky, and that's okay. And so that's the first thing that I want you to get out of this. And so I guess I should now talk about what this Sunday tea time is and what my intention for Sunday tea is. That years ago, like probably 15, 20 years ago, I would watch these YouTube videos with this author who did something similar. It was like a coffee break kind of thing. And um, I thought, isn't that cool? Like to just be able to have coffee with people, except that I'm a tea person. I love my tea and I wanted to do something with tea. And again, life got busy and I just couldn't figure out how to put it together. And now I'm like, I'm just going to do it and I don't care. And so the intention of the tea is just to be a conversation and bringing joy into creativity and life and shining some light in the world. And I still don't have a framework or what that fully looks like because I have so many ideas. And that's what kept me from starting. And that's why I'm just going to start. And I'm going to talk about the things and see what lands and see what doesn't land and see where I flow and where it feels good. But today I wanted to talk about joy and also some of the things I learned at this tea ceremony about myself through the meditation that I did. And so, first of all, the Gong Fu tea ceremony, there was no guided meditation. It was really about being still and going inward. And that's really important to me. And particularly in this world that we're living in now, that time of stillness and going inward is so critical. One of the things about me is that I very intentionally have set aside Sundays as my day of rest, my day to fill the well, and to be present with myself and to do self care things and to be very mindful of how I'm taking care of myself. And so typically, I actually do not make plans for Sundays. I don't go anywhere, do anything. I stay home. I clean my house, I work on art projects, and I get my space really comfortable and happy. One of the things I've learned about myself as I have become more and more aware of my neurodivergence is that it's very easy for me to make things a mess, but the messier my environment is, the worse my mental health is. And so by intentionally giving myself the space to clean my house, that is how I protect that and give myself the room to do other things. So I will start by I get incense and I incense my whole home. I have a whole ritual that I do with that. That isn't anything that you're going to find in a book or prescribed or anything like that, but it's something that feels good to me for clearing my space and making the area in my home feel safe and secure and protected. And it's really interesting because I have this weird war with one of my neighbors. Today, I think I figured out which one it is, and it makes sense. But we have a scent war going on. To be clear, he has never told me that he dislikes the scent coming from my apartment. However, he will do things like use cleaning stuff with really harsh chemical smells and other things that just really are harmful to me and my health in terms of like I am very sensitive to smell and everything. I mentioned that I use incense. I have very specific incenses that I use that work for me because I am very sensitive to that and I will have an asthma attack. And his cleaning stuff will sometimes affect my breathing and make things harder. Like I said, I just today figured out who I think it is. And unfortunately, this neighbor, anytime I've asked them to change anything, they give me very passive aggressive responses. So it was weird because he moved in and he said, "Oh, yeah, if my music's ever too loud, just text me and let me know." And every time I have, like one time his music was so loud, it was shaking everything in my apartment. And I texted him, and I was very nice about it. And I just said, "Hey, could you please turn down your music? Like the stuff in my place is shaking." And he like sent me back this really nasty passive aggressive text. And I'm like, okay, that's weird because you're the one who offered. And since then, anytime I've said anything to him about anything, it's just a very nasty passive aggressive response. And sometimes he does it more. So he's not someone I can do it. But anyway, when those bad smells come into my place, I will just do more incense and I'll like clear and do all the things. And it's really interesting because my other neighbor, who is below me, always comes to my place. He's like, "Oh my goodness, the energy in here feels really good. I love how it smells in here. What do you do to make it smell so good?" And so I know that perhaps that it's not necessarily my incense is bad smelling, although maybe to this neighbor who uses the stinky cleaning stuff, maybe it is. I don't know. But he has never said anything to me about it. And I'm not going to do anything other than when he's got his stinky stuff, I do my good smelling stuff. And like I said, every Sunday, I'm really intentional about moving the air, letting in some fresh air, doing incense, doing some candles, just really refreshing everything. And I also clean and just do everything I can to set myself up for success for the next week. And I hope that for some of you, if you kind of struggle with routine and things like that, that adding something like that where you're like, okay, Sunday is my cleaning day and or Sunday is my day to rest, and what does rest look like to you? And part of that rest, it's really interesting because I have some friends who are super, super conservative Christians who refuse to do any level of work on Sunday. And so cleaning to them, no, you couldn't do that because that is work. And for me, I find that brings me the rest and the stillness and the ability to find stillness. I also typically do not have television on. I don't listen to music. I don't have any other noise other than my time with my inner knowing. And that's where I find peace. And so I generally will not accept invitations. If you ever invite me to something on a Sunday and I say yes, please know that that's because you're very special to me or it's something I really want to do. And so going back to the tea ceremony, this is something that I've always wanted to go to a tea ceremony. I'm a huge tea person. I love tea. And so I saw this event and I was like, "Oh, I really want to go. Oh, it's on a Sunday morning." But I'm really glad I went because the intention with the tea ceremony was to make it a very meditative, going inward thing. And so I don't want to go through that whole ceremony thing, but also because the way my space is arranged, I can't. But it really is about each step of the tea making and the tea drinking and the whole process being very meditative and contemplative. And that's so important to me in terms of living life with intentionality. And for me, meditation and contemplation has been so important. And it's been crucial to my mental health to really focus on how do I show up for the world as my best self? And how do I trust what that is? I do want to show you something with the tea because um, it's really special. Um, so here's the tea. I will tell you more about this little teacup first, but if you look, oh, you can't see it on the camera. But it is butterfly pea flower tea. And so it comes out this really luscious blue color. And if you add lemon juice to it, it makes it even this really beautiful bright tea. And we did not for the tea ceremony add lemon juice, but You can do it, and mm, it's really good. So, hopefully, for these future Sunday tea times, I will be able to show you the tea, show you my pretty stuff because I love it. This is the thing that brings me joy, and so this is the tea that she used, and whoops. And so this is what's in it. It's red raspberry, Damiana, lemon balm, marshmallow root, butterfly pea flower, and elderberry. So, really, really, really lovely tea. She blends it herself, and so, I'm just really grateful that I got to go and have this tea. And so, one of the things that, um, came out of this whole thing is, like, each thing of tea, we had time to go inward and meditate and see what messages were coming. And so this is a little paper that I had, and, like, each time I drew another detail and something else on the paper. And art and creativity is really important to me, and it's very important to me, as part of my Sunday practice, is I do a lot of art, and it's okay to be messy. I love messy art. My stuff is never gonna hang in the Louvre. Maybe it will, I don't know. Like, maybe standards will change and people will be like, "Ooh, this is fantastic." But, one of the things I wanna show you is one of the things that came to me as I was talking about the tea is this tree, and you can maybe see the person sitting by the tree, and, it's super messy and not very great, but for years, one of the big motifs that I have made in my art are these trees, and again, they look terrible, to be very honest. At some point, I do wanna learn how to make a better tree, because I have this vision of this tree in my head, and it never translates to paper, which is also okay. And so this the importance of this is you can see kind of like the brown going down, and those are the roots of the tree. So the message that I received earlier this year about my year and what my focus this year is going to be, it's about roots. It's about allowing my roots to go deeper into ground. And I find that interesting because we are in this year of the fire horse. Now, finally, we've transitioned into that. And so everyone else is talking about this rapid movement of the fire horse. And I'm not in that energy. I keep trying to tap into it. And the message I keep getting is roots, deepen those roots. And part of why I'm sharing this is because it's really important that even if conventionalism, even if what the astrology, all of those things is telling you is one thing, and your intuition is telling you something different, listen to your intuition. And one of the things that came out of this whole roots thing is this idea of riding the horse. And my children were very into horseback riding. They have horses, they love it, they perform. And in order to be a good rider and to ride at high speeds and precision, you have to have a good seat. You have to be grounded and rooted in your seat and in being able to ride the horse. And that's the fire horse life. That is, in order to be able to participate in this fire horse energy, you have to have your grounding and your roots deepened. And so while everyone else is going, "Phew, move forward as fast as you can," I'm going deeper and deeper and more inward and more trusting in my intuition. And so, one of the things, going back to the tea set, I like to go thrift store shopping, and I had a little time after the tea ceremony. I also had brunch with a friend for her birthday. I almost never do 2 things on a Sunday, much less 1, but my friend, it was their birthday, and they said to me, "Would you come to brunch?" And I was like, "Okay." Like, it is food. It is just sitting and eating food with my friend, and I have to eat anyway. Plus I wanted to celebrate them. And so I went to the thrift store, and I have to show you something. So this is a Peter Rabbit Wedgwood bowl. This is from when I was a baby. Let me see if I can bring it closer because you can kind of see, like right there. See, it's chipped, and but I love this. This is the only thing that I have from my babyhood, and like I have like and this is like a really heavy china bowl. This is Wedgwood, and there I was walking through the thrift store, and what do I see but this lovely little tea set. And here's what's so great is that this is the exact same pattern as my childhood bowl. And so there was this plate and then this cup, which I drank out of the other one, and then this little saucer. And it's all part of the same set. And yeah, I looked at it, like all the details on the Wedgwood information. It's all the same. And so now I have this, and then I have another, the one that I've been drinking out of, and it's obviously meant for a child, and it brought me so much joy, and I had so much fun today, between the 2 things because I didn't have enough time to go home, just shopping at this thrift store and finding all of these cool treasures like that. I will tell you, I spent more money at this thrift store than I typically ever spend, but it is because this tea set was so expensive because, like, each like, the cup and saucer was 1, the plate was 1, and there were 2 of each, so it ended up being really expensive. But I went online when I came home, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool, I never thought to complete the set," and it turns out that I actually got a very smoking deal on it, even though it was expensive for me for a thrift store find. And I tried there was a person on Etsy who was selling more matching pieces to it, and I kind of feel like it was false advertising because they advertised they were selling it and they had this certain price, but then you go to their listing and actually each item was listed individually, and you go to each item and all of them were said sold out. So I don't know why they didn't just take the listing down. I think it was just to get more people to their page, and I wish they hadn't done that because, yeah, I was a little bummed, but I started looking on other sites for it, and this particular set is pretty, expensive. So I'm lucky to have gotten that tea set because it, actually the particular tea set that I have is more rare, I guess, because, the couple places that I found it, you could only get pieces of it, not the plate, the cup, the saucer like I have 2 of now. You could get, like, one of them, and it was, like, $50. So, yay me, thrift store win. Very happy about that. And so, yeah, I have a whole lot of things I could talk about, but I didn't want to go too terribly long. I just really wanted to have this time, number 1, to, um, share, things that are joyful and, soul-filling, and share a little bit about what's filling my soul in case there's something in that that you can take to fill yours and bring joy to your life. I think now more than ever, the thing we have to protect the most in ourselves is that joyousness, is that space of taking that time to be with ourselves and do the things we need to really be able to embrace the rest of our lives. And for me as an introvert, it is that quiet time. It is that time that is 100% dedicated to spending time with me and in the quiet. And for some people, quiet may not be what you want. I know there are people who, when I say, oh, yeah, I don't turn on the music, I don't have TV, it's just silent. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? And that's cool if you need to have music on or your TV on in the background. But for me, it is that silence. And the silence is where I find the filling. And it's also where I can tap into myself and listen to those messages. And so, as we wrap up this Sunday tea time, my encouragement to you is to find a way to give yourself that permission to have silence. And I will say, if you have never done this, if you've never had a silence practice, if you've never had this quiet time, it is hard and it does take getting used to. When I first started doing this and I first started meditating, Um, I couldn't do it. Like, my mind was going a million places at once, and I needed the distraction, and I would turn on music, and I would do all the different things, and once I began to find that way of settling and quieting and getting into the habit and also practicing, because my one of my meditation teachers has always said, like, that's why we call it a meditation practice. It's not a meditation perfection. It's meditation practice because you're not going to get it right. And like for me, this isn't about like going, whatever, and meditating. It really is just having that quietness and stillness to listen to what's happening in your body and finding what you need. And so this Sunday, I did a lot more things than I normally do on Sunday, and my house is not as clean as it normally is. And that's okay because, again, it's part of that practice. It's part of meeting yourself where you're at and giving yourself what you need. So, yeah, big breath out because I did it. I have been wanting to do the Sunday tea time for a long time. And what I envisioned was more having the tea laid out in front of me. And you could all see the tea and we could really talk about the tea and share the tea. And I couldn't find a way to make that work in my space this time, but I'm going to keep playing with it. And I'm going to keep practicing and trying and experimenting. And one day I'll find something that lands. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And please share in the comments if there's anything that you really loved, anything that you do to fill yourself, and how you're finding time to give back to yourself and give yourself what you need.